In Liberia, it seems to be that the focus increasingly now is on iron ore production, iron ore mining. How has the landscape changed?
Well, you may exactly know that Liberia was quite known for iron ore mining prior to the onset of our series of civil calamities. And we have been trying over the last several years to ensure that we reclaim the years that the locusts have eaten by trying to reclaim our role in the mining sector in the sub-region and the world as a whole. And so we have been attracting world-class mining concessions to Liberia.
Obviously, you've attracted companies such as ArcelorMittal, recently a $3 billion deal with BHP, but companies like Vale are still looking for concessions. What's challenging about entering the Liberian market?
Well, what is challenging is that we are focused on doing business in the proper way. We want to make sure that our business environment is quite pure and encouraging to investors who come. And we have added on a new trend of a greater social responsibility in whatever we do. Because if you review our past mining history, we have not been quite satisfied with the way and manner in which investors have operated within our various communities. So this time we want to build a great deal of confidence and to ensure that the people we do business with understand the state-of-the-art processes in doing business and ensure that we are quite effective in our national delivery processes.
Obviously, as the government, you're concerned about the development impact of the investments. As business, they're concerned about the legal framework as to how it applies to leasing land, taxes, royalties, trade terms, setting of prices for the various commodities that they produce.
Absolutely.
What are you doing to make the regulatory environment a little more investor-friendly?
Well, we want to make sure that we are complying according to the provisions of what is available in the context of best business practices. We want to make sure that there are incentives that investors can reap in terms of getting returns on their investment. They will have free capital repatriation. As you know, Liberia in the past promoted what we called the open door policy. And we still operate according to the open door policy, where we have a great deal of incentives in terms of the level in which you invest. So for companies like ArcelorMittal, BHP Billiton, or Vale, or all of those who will have various types of concession, they will ensure that they get adequate returns on their capital. In the meantime, we also want to stimulate our business environment to ensure that there is expansion in our economy in terms of what they do to benefit the local business people. Capital participation as much as possible, and of course the development of ancillary activities that will help to stimulate growth in our national economy.
Okay, talking about local content and trying to get more Liberian equity in mining investments, let's talk about the work that you're doing in the gold mining segment of the mining industry, because for many years gold mining was the preserve solely of Liberians. Foreigners couldn't invest in the sector. Has that changed?
No, well, there is a great deal of alluvial mining activity in that sector. But what we have been doing over the last few years is to ensure that we open up the opportunity for exploration and a greater degree of exploration to ensure that world-class operators are capable of coming in to identify possible gold fields and to get involved in modern mining activities that will take into consideration the environmental circumstances in which we operate. And that requires a great deal of corporate responsibility. And that sense of corporate responsibility must be exhibited by those we invite.
Diamond mining obviously is a tricky area. I know that the moratorium was lifted in year 2007, and unfortunately that was shortly before the global recession and the slump in diamond sales and prices. But there's another issue here, and that's the fact that Liberia is really the country at the center of the conflict diamond problem. As you re-enter the market, how have you dealt with issues of certification?
Well, as you well know, the ban on diamond mining in Liberia was lifted solely because of our capacity to move towards this whole idea of accepting the Kimberley process. And indeed, all of our operations ensure that we are Kimberley compliant in whatever we do. So we pay a great deal of attention to that. We have a modding diamond office, and that office is responsible for the total evaluation and analysis of the production processes in the field, as well as what is internationally required to ensure that the right things are done. So we are indeed carrying on inspectoral processes and also ensuring certification that will make people, those who operate in our diamond fields, to comply with international requirements of responsibility. And so this is what we promote in our operations.
Now, obviously, there are questions being raised about the extent to which Liberia, obviously in post-conflict reconstruction, you're heavily dependent on foreign direct investment, and apparently of all countries in the world, the highest ratio to GDP is in Liberia. So too much dependency on foreign investment. When are you going to try to get a little bit more equilibrium?
Well, I tell you, the idea of capital formation is indeed a problem of our own, part of the world. And our government is pursuing deliberate policies to ensure that we identify capital, to build capital for our local initiatives. But be aware that when we, were getting out of this conflict, long period of conflict, we're experiencing a great deal of debt burden. Liberia owed the rest of the world more than close to $5 billion plus. So what our president, who you know so well about as an economist, has been doing is to engage the rest of the world to understand the extent to which we needed to deal with our national debt burden. So of late we have arrived at the HIPIC completion point. We have experienced a debt waiver of more than $4 billion. So what that does is that it flexes our capacity to engage the capital markets of the world, to ensure that we can generate capital, to invest in our people and to invest in our resources. So that is going to serve as the fundamental basis for us to engender participation in capital formation. So this is indeed something that has to be seen as an opening up of our own national market as an investment paradise. So this is serving as an encouragement. In fact, I'm not getting my regular sleep nowadays because there are many companies calling from far and wide, as far as Australia, even the United States, Europe, inquiring about how to do business in Liberia. So this is a new endeavor for us as a people.